Act 4 Summary. At midnight on Wimpole Street, Eliza enters looking pale and tired. Pickering and Higgins ignore her, talking about the success Higgins has achieved. Higgins's mind is busy by where his slippers are and whether there is any mail. They have been to a garden party, a dinner party, and the opera, and Eliza was extremely successful, fooling everyone. Pickering says that it is almost incredible how good Eliza was, better than the society ladies. Higgins expresses his relief, saying he is glad that the experiment is over, since he was beginning to grow bored and sick of it. Eliza, who has gone to find Higgins's slippers, begins to look angry. Higgins leaves, asking Eliza to turn off the light and to ask Mrs. Pierce to make coffee in the morning. Then he returns again, looking for his slippers, and Eliza throws them at his face. Eliza angrily explains that she does not know what to do with herself, now that she has won the bet. Higgins says that she is overreacting. He tells her that after she sleeps, she will feel better. He adds that she is quite attractive, so maybe she could marry after all. Perhaps his mother could find someone suitable for her to marry. Eliza responds that she was above selling herself when she was a flower girl. She just sold flowers instead of her body. Eliza asks whether her clothes belong to her or Pickering, since he is the one who bought them. Higgins replies that they belong to her. When she explains that she did not want to be accused of stealing, Higgins says she has hurt his feelings by that remark. Eliza pushes on, asking him to take the hired jewels to his room so that they will be safe. She also gives back the ring that he bought her. He angrily throws it into the fireplace and says that she has wounded him to the heart. Eliza is glad to get a little of her own back. Higgins tries to regain his dignity, saying that he has lost his temper for the first time in a long time. He leaves the room in a controlled manner, but he slams the door on the way out. Eliza smiles and gets down on her knees to look in the ashes for the ring. Questions and answers 1. But you've won your bet, Higgins. Eliza did the trick, and something to spare. Comment Pickering said this to Higgins the night they came back from the opera. Eliza had been presented to the upper-class people as a duchess, and she passed the test. 2. Thank God it's over. Comment Higgins said this to Colonel Pickering when the latter congratulated Higgins for passing Eliza as a lady of upper class at the garden party. 3. Put out the lights, Eliza, and tell Mrs. Pierce not to make coffee for me in the morning. Comment. These were the only words Higgins said to Eliza that night when they came back from the garden party. All the time, Higgins and Pickering were talking about Higgins' huge success, and they were quite ignoring Eliza. 4. Why did Eliza throw Higgins's slippers at his face? Eliza was mad enough to kill Higgins for ignoring her and keeping himself busy looking for his slippers. She was angry and worried as she didn't know what she was to do now that she has become a lady. She was shocked by his humiliating ignorance. 5. Why did Eliza wish to be dead after her success while Higgins was glad and satisfied? Higgins considered the matter as a challenge in his career. He wanted to prove he was a master in his art, and he successfully did it, so it was over for him. On the other hand, Eliza was concerned and anxious about her future. 6. In what way did Higgins not respect Eliza's feelings? When Eliza asked him what she was to do when the experiment was over, he suggested that she opens a flower shop or to get married. He didn't care that she would degrade herself to a flower seller after she had become a lady. 7. What does the incident with the slippers call to mind? This recalls the mind the ideal domestic wife who brings her husband's slippers when he arrives home after a hard day's work. It also shows the deep inner feelings of Eliza towards Higgins. They were feelings of gratitude, devotion, and love. 8. Why did Eliza wish Higgins had left her where he had found her? She found herself unfit for anything. It isn't fit to degrade herself and sell in a flower shop, and the alternative that remains is that she sells herself in marriage. 9. Well, don't you thank God it's all over? Now you are free and can do what you like. Comment Higgins said this to Eliza, who was upset and angry when she had overheard him express his relief to Mr. Pickering when the experiment was successfully over. 10. I didn't want to be accused of stealing. Comment. Eliza said this to Higgins when she asked whether her clothes belonged to her, meaning what she could take away with her without being accused of thievery. 11. How the devil do I know what to become of you? What does it matter what becomes of you? Higgins said this to Eliza, who had asked him what she was supposed to do when the experiment was over. He didn't care about that at all. He didn't consider her as a human being whom he had put in a different world. 12. We were above that at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. Eliza said this to Higgins, who suggested that she might get married or open a flower shop. She was sad and angry that he didn't care a bit about her. 13. Why, 6 months ago, you would have thought it the millennium to have a flower shop of your own. Higgins said this to Eliza when she refused his suggestion that she might open a flower shop. He didn't realize that he was talking to a totally different person than that he had met 6 months earlier. 14. He might want them for the next girl you pick up to experiment on. Eliza said this to Higgins. She asked if the clothes belonged to her, or they might need them for their next experiment girl. She wanted to show him how humiliating it was to completely ignore her after passing the experiment. 15. There can't be any feelings between the like of you and the like of me. Eliza said this to Higgins, who looked wounded that she thought they might accuse her of stealing if she took the clothes. In fact, she had tender feelings towards him, but they were one-sided feelings, and she was shocked by his humiliating treatment. 16. This ring isn't the jeweler's. It's the one you bought me in Brighton. I don't want it now. Eliza said this to Higgins after she had given him She also took off the ring he had bought to her. She was trying to show him that lost her interest in him. 17. You have caused me to lose my temper, a thing that has hardly ever happened to me before. Higgins said this to Eliza when she gave him the ring, expressing her wish not to keep it anymore. Higgins lost his temper. 18. You'd better leave a note for Mrs. Pierce about the coffee, for she won't be told by me. Eliza said this to Higgins when he left her in order to go to bed. She declared her rebellion against him, saying that she wouldn't deliver the message to Mrs. Pierce. 19. You won my bet, you. Presumptuous insect. I won it. Higgins said this to Eliza when she told him what to become of her since she won the bit. He insulted her, saying she was an arrogant insect. It was him, the great professor, who won the bet.